What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, your authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. We have Aaron, Chive, and Sam alongside me. Of course, me and Sam were live last night reacting to the news that Erik ten Hag is staying at Manchester United for the foreseeable. And since then, there has been a lot of detail that has come out that we are definitely going to dive into. Plenty of stuff to discuss, so don't worry about that. Make sure you stick around, and we've got something interactive towards the end as well. But just before we dig into any of that, just give us your kind of raw reaction to the news, Aaron. Obviously broke around 10:30. Me and Sam were busy doing things that just completely did not expect it. How did you react when you first saw that Ornstein bomb on X?
I was shocked, and I wasn't, because obviously what had come out about Tuchel not taking the job, Poch very unlikely, no contact had been made with De Zerbi, so I kind of had a feeling it was coming. But then, on the other hand, about a week ago, I thought it was coming because I thought, why are they going to delay something if obviously clearly he's staying? I'm still a bit conflicted on it, to be honest.
Why?
Obviously the FA, because
Why
obviously the FA Cup was like a brilliant result. With none of us, I mean, I said in the predictions that we'll win, but I didn't believe it. You know what I mean? I was just trying to put some positivity out there. But I can't forget like the whole season. I know the injuries have been a factor, like a ridiculous amount of injuries, probably more injuries than anyone else, but it was just the lack of the ability to adapt. Like, you know, you kind of make the best of what you got, and I feel like Ten Hag didn't do that in the season. So I was kind of gearing up to, yeah, I can see why he's going to go, and then he stayed. But you know, I'm happy to support him. Give him a chance under Ineos, give him a fit squad, because that's one thing you can't deny. He has not had his best team for like what, fucking 99% of the season. So yeah, man. Yeah, I'm happy to see where he goes.
Jimmy, why do you think United have decided to stick with him? Do you think it's because the other options just weren't good enough, or do you think it's something financially maybe? Like, what's your kind of skeptic on that?
I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. I mean, I think the last time you and I spoke about this, I said I was going to give Ineos the benefit of the doubt, and I'll be happy with, well, not be happy, but I'll respect whatever decision they make, because I like how they've been moving throughout this whole process. You know, how they've been, well, it seemed like they were moving, like analyzing different things and getting people in the door and all that. And I really kind of like that. And at the time, it felt like they were moving at their own pace. They weren't letting anyone force them into a decision. And I really admired that. And so then when I heard yesterday, I was actually quite disappointed. And like at first I was numb, like just completely numb. Like I had no feeling whatsoever. Because I was kind of like, I went to bed like 10ish. And then I got up and then I checked my phone and all that. And when I woke up this morning, I just this feeling of dread, you know. Like how Aaron was, just this feeling of, because like just exactly like what Aaron was saying, like I know what I saw last season, like the way we played, like I know what I saw. And yes, there were injuries, but there was no fight. There was literally no adaptability whatsoever. And I just, all those games just started replaying in my head again. And I was just like, can't believe, I'm going to have to sit through that. But still, I was like, you know what, I'm going to trust, I will give Ineos the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm going to trust them for making this decision. And then 20 minutes ago, I read this thing that Laurie Whitwell has posted on The Athletic on how, they talk to different people. And, ignorance is bliss, honestly, because I really wish I didn't read that. They genuinely considered Gareth Southgate. And when I read that, I was just in shock. I was like, wow, these guys actually. And now I don't even know what to think about these guys anymore. Help me, please.
Interesting. No, because that's
please, yeah. Honestly, because I don't get it. And I understand I respect a lot of decisions they made with some of the managers that they spoke to, but then he also said something like they thought Ten Hag, well, the other guys weren't better than Ten Hag, and I don't understand what the bar is in terms of like how is he better than them? He's had the most expensive squad in the league, and he's won trophies with them, fine. But these other guys, for example, I'm not making a case for Thomas Frank, but I'm just saying he's had Brentford, so you don't know how he's going to perform with a more, with better quality. So I don't know how they think one is better than the other. I just read the article 20 minutes ago. My mind is everywhere. So if you guys can help me see some, because I really need some comforting right now.
I think there's two sides to it. There definitely is. And I think, obviously, you two are quite concerned with it by the sounds of things. Me and Sam are obviously slightly the opposite way. They were quite happy that he's staying. But in making this decision, Sam, in itself, you have to back him fully then, right? So there's talks about a contract extension. How long is it going to be? Is that just in place until they decide they want to go and get Southgate? Because obviously he's at Euros at the moment. How do you see that? Do you think it is a real trust from Ineos giving it him? Or do you think maybe it's just, let's just see how it goes for the next 6 months?
I think I would disagree with Chivy. I think, yeah, maybe we don't like Southgate. We've all said that. Like, we don't think he's a good manager and he would not be the right fit for United. However, I think the way they worded it was very different because I don't think they interviewed him. They didn't speak to him. They didn't bring him to Monaco like they did with Tuchel. They didn't speak to him in person.
Yeah, but they've considered him.
Yeah, but they consider all options. You have to do when you take over a club.
Yeah, but that's a line you don't cross. Like if you consider that, then,
let me finish my point, and then you can
I know. Sorry.
So due diligence is what you need to do when you take over a club the magnitude of Manchester United. You need to take everything from top to bottom, and you need to look at everything. You've seen it with a clear out. John Murtaugh, Richard Arnold, CEO, the CAO, everybody's gone because they've decided they're not good enough, and they've gone. And now they've worked their way down to the manager. So they've had to look at every single option. So they interviewed Thomas Tuchel because obviously Champions League winning manager, league winning manager, has a lot of capabilities. You'd think it would fit. They interviewed him. Obviously, for whatever reason, Thomas Tuchel said he wanted to take a break. I'm sure the United win is another reason. Who knows what the actual reason is? We probably won't know. They spoke to face-to-face with Marco Silva at Fulham, I think, in that article. I don't know if they spoke to Thomas Frank face-to-face or De Zerbi or Southgate, but I know they were in consideration.
They spoke to Frank face-to-face.
They speak to Frank face-to-face, okay.
Yeah.
So.
And then they spoke to De Zerbi's agent.
Yeah. So different levels of things. So I think they had to do due diligence, and I don't have an issue with that. I think Ten Hag was probably aware with the season that he had. Let's be honest, it was a horrible, terrible season. For FA Cup aside, it was a terrible season for United. So he's probably aware his job was on the line, especially with new owners coming in. He can't have thought that he was going to get a free ride because look at the season he had. It's a results-based business at the end of the day. So I think he was probably knowing that was going in happening, especially with new ownership. And I think they have to do due diligence. Had they interviewed Southgate and had they got it to the point where they'd got Thomas Tuchel and then met with him in Monaco, I'd be a lot more worried. But I think just the fact that he was on a name on a list, I didn't know Marco Silva was on the list until today. I had no idea about that. So I'm sure there's other names on the list that we don't know about that were under consideration, but never got to the stage that Thomas Tuchel got to. So I think we can all sort of calm around that. But on your contract question, I think, yeah, if you're going to back him, you have to give him a new contract. So he's got a year left on his deal. If you want to build a project, you can't let a guy go on a year left on his deal going into the next season not knowing if he's got a job, because that just creates instability. So if you've backed this guy, whether you agree with it or not, everybody, fans and stuff, you have to give him then the new deal to show that you have faith in him. Obviously, if it doesn't work, you can break it. There'll be clauses and all that sort of stuff. I think that's the way you need to be going forward. I'm sure there's fans who are unhappy with the decision. There's fans like me and Nick who are happy with it. And everybody's welcome to express their opinions and stuff like that. But I think for me, this was personally the right answer. And now they have to back him. And also, Ten Hag needs to prove himself. We cannot have that football that we had last season. Cannot do it, because he won't last 6 months. If he starts at the beginning of the season and does 6 months of that, he'd be gone. He'd be over, because people won't have the patience for it.
Aaron, I'm going to come to you in a moment. I just want to say to people in the chat, get your opinions in on this situation, how you think it's going to work over the next couple of years going forward. Will he get that contract extension? It's most likely going to happen anyway, but just your thoughts and feelings on the overall situation. I mean, now the dust has settled a little bit, get him in and we'll read some of yours out very, very shortly. But Aaron, what happens now they've made the decision? It's like, right, boom, that's done. That's done and dusted. What do you think the finer details will be in terms of how they're going to work together? I'm not asking you for specifics, but I mean, Ten Hag's, had a say in terms of recruitment, let's say, for example, for over the past couple of years, hasn't exactly gone the way United wanted it to with players like Anthony. Does he have to now play a certain style? What's going to happen with the current relationship of players like Casemiro, Rashford and these kind of guys? What's your thoughts on that?
Can I just go back to the contract before I get to that?
Yeah.
You might have to prompt me again. I might forget the question, but
No worries.
When it comes to a new contract, just as we were speaking about, I was thinking we're heavily critical on a player for not performing and not warranting a new contract. Like everyone here, do we think that Ten Hag has warranted a new deal with how we performed last season?
Question to answer with just one thing. It's so multi-layered.
You have to go on perform with a player. A player gets a new deal and we slate they haven't earned it, or I know Ten Hag's coming into his last season, but for me it seems probably his most critical season. So what we're doing, giving him a new deal really when this season's so make or break for me, because all we're going to do is give him a new contract, pay him out more if he does get sacked.
If you put clauses in, Aaron, would you be happier with that? Like if they put clauses, say you didn't reach certain thing, I'll say there's certain things that don't happen and they can break it and he doesn't get a payout. Would you be?
But he would never sign that, would he?
Well, if he wants to keep his job, he will have to, won't he? If he wants his job, he has to.
That's what I mean. It's so I don't know.
That's why I'm saying it's multi-layered. Like there's so many different angles you can come at it from. Let me throw that just one more question back to, because you said about, do you think that season that's just gone by warrants a thing? And there was at times where every single one of us sat there saying, what on earth was that? Brentford, Forest, you can go through a number of games. Like, what on fucking earth was the state of that game? And I get it, right? And I know people throw the injuries about willy-nilly, like, it's because he's injured. But that has to have, 60, 65. They even said that in the review, that they've brought that into consideration, because it has to have an effect on any manager. You look at Liverpool's worst season when they was wearing shirts for Van Dijk and stuff. They had half the injuries that we had, and they dropped right down from where they was at. City, without Rodri for 4 games, didn't even win one, and that's one player. So for me,
look at Brighton as well. Like De Zerbi had a great season, and they lost the likes of Matoma and different players.
Yeah,
and they stunk the joint up.
It affects teams, especially in the positions that we've had, like centre backs and wing backs and playing fucking injured players. So for me, that adds context to it. Where I'm like, naturally, you're going to drop down the table. Maybe not as much, but I think him with a fully fit squad right now can win trophies and can get back into the top 4. I'm fully confident in that. So if they want to give him the contract, that's fine by me.
Can I just come back on that for a little bit?
I was going to, but I'll let you go.
Yeah. So the injuries definitely. I mean, 65. Like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's some kind of record.
Yeah.
In terms of injuries and stuff. But I think we've talked about this a few times. Like it wasn't really about the losses. It was the manner in which we lost. And a lot of those games that we played, I've mentioned this before. On paper, we had the better players, even with the injuries. We had the better players man for man. When that Brentford game, man for man, we're better than them. Coventry, the quarterfinals with Coventry, like they got robbed, because that last goal could have easily been an offside. I mean, sorry, the last goal that was ruled offside could have easily been given. Who's the something county? The ones who
is that down to the manager though, or the players? That Coventry game.
I'm saying we had better players than them, regardless of the. So we had injuries, but the players on the pitch were better than the players we played. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the players we had on the pitch, were better than the players, better than the opposition on many occasions. And it was the manner in which we lost those games. We were giving away so many chances. We could have been so much We could have been so much more compact. So to go to Aaron's point about adaptability, he adapted when we played Man City because they had the better team. Yeah. When we played Man City in the fight, that's what we wanted to see the whole time. It wasn't about having, just, we had injuries, but then adapt to just circumstances, the situation, and we never saw that. So I remember seeing Brentford lose 4-0 to Roma, and honestly, the way they played, they could have walked off the pitch with their heads. So I was like, if I was Brighton, sorry, not Brentford. I remember seeing Brighton lose 4-0 to Roma, and if I was a Brighton fan, I would have clapped my players off the pitch after losing 4, because the way they played, Roma just got lucky with 4 goals, but the way they played, you could see that, this is something that you could believe in. And this is the problem that I had, and I'm sure quite a few people had as well, was that, yes, we're losing, but at least give me something to look forward to say, well, we lost that, but I can see what he's trying to do. And I can see, the injuries affected it. Maybe, he was trying to minimize nothing. We didn't see anything. So this is, I mean, if we played well and came 8th, fine, just don't lose, don't go out like it's just the manner in which it was. So I get with the injuries, but a lot of the times the players we had on the pitch were better than the opposition when we lost. So the injury thing for me, I get it. But
I will let you go because you had something to think before it, and also answer the question that I asked before. If you can.
You're gonna have to re-ask me that. That's gone. But yeah, just about that's the thing I wanted to add about performances. Like, we have injured players, but when the players don't look like they've got any fight in them, surely that should be instilled from the manager. Like, every player under Sir Alex Ferguson, under Jurgen Klopp, would want to run for a brick wall for the manager. Ours look like, one, they look like they didn't know what they were doing, which is the most worrying thing, because it's like, surely they must have some tactical setup or some system or, just some instruction. And I just, you play to your strengths. There was nothing adapted where the midfield all season, you could walk through it. Like, my 2-year-old could walk through that midfield. It's just, there was nothing. You just change the formation. For me, you pat the midfield out. It's just basics that we all would think. And, we say, oh, we ain't got the players or whatever. Most players can fill in a position, you know what I mean? Or just make do. I mean, we under Sir Alex, we beat Arsenal with 7 defenders.
Yeah.
They were all playing like midfield and on the wing and that. So I don't really buy that. It's like, I don't know. This season, I personally would probably hold off on the contract and say to him, you've got till January, and then we present you with a new contract, or we part ways. And if he walks away from that, he walks away from that, because he's not, for me, in a position. Yeah, he's got the FA Cup in the bag, but we're Manchester United. We're not a cup team. I look at that as we're not a cup team. So, if he walks away, then he walks away. But another thing as well is where they say he was the best candidate. I would love to know what happened in that meeting with Thomas Tuchel, because you've got a Champions League winner sat across from you, and he's not the right candidate. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, what was the other question?
I'll throw that to Sam because he's like eager to think it, and then I'll bounce back to you and get your thoughts on it as well. So just basically, Sam, like the finer details. So vetoes on transfers. Will he have to play a certain style? There were suggestions that Wilcox suggested the false 9 for Bruno, and he adapted that and in the last couple of games. And then the fractured relationships with some of the players. We had that stuff with Casemiro, didn't we, after the FA Cup final, that he'd been dropped from Rabat, and then there was obviously Jadon Sancho was the obvious one as well. So how did he handle that going forward, do you think?
He's going to have to take a back seat on the recruitment thing, I think. Whereas there has been players who have worked out, like Lissandro, Casemiro worked out in the first season. Second season, not so much. Højlund, I think the jury's still out. I think there's potential, but I think the jury's still out. Anthony, obviously, a complete and utter flop. Malacia, we've not seen enough of him because he's been injured. Mason Mount, not seen enough of him because he's been injured. So transfers, like, it's not a great record there. So I would hope he would be open to being not having total control on it, but having an input on it, much like he did at Ajax. He was more of a tracksuit manager at Ajax, like he did the coaching and stuff. He had Overmars and Van der Sar handling all that sort of stuff, which would be a similar setup here with Ashworth and Wilcox. So I'm hoping he'd be more open to that. In terms of style of play, whatever he's doing, whatever he did last season, sorry, is either A, he's implementing it the wrong way and the players aren't able to take it on board, or B, the players that he's got aren't suited to the system he's trying to play. It's one of the two. And most people seem to think that the players aren't suited to the system that he's trying to play. Like, we've got counter-attack based players, quick wingers who thrive on balls in behind. Rashford, Garnacho, Ahmad to a lesser extent, and Sancho kind of don't fit that mold. But Bruno plays really quick balls and on the counter and stuff like that. That's the kind of players you have in the team. And he's trying to play a slightly different style. That's why Ollie went on that incredible run, like, when he became caretaker, because he just played right into how these players like play well. Like, he played right into it. So I think if he has the players he has at his disposal and he wants to bring in other players, he has to think of a way where the players he has that he's not going to be able to get rid of, the likes of Rashford and stuff like that, who are on massive wages, he's not going to be able to sell them. So you're going to have to keep them. And then work out players you bring that will complement those players and a style that works for all the pieces that you bring in, rather than trying to force a style that you want on players that clearly don't fit it or clearly won't work within it. So I think that's what he needs to sort of work out this summer with pre-season transfers and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm glad that it's been taken out of his hands, because I think the amount of times we got a player where it's like, oh, he's either worked with him or he saw him in the Dutch league or he is Dutch. And it was like, he's basically gone for players that he knows and trusts rather than going for players that fit a system and will work with him what he wants to do, because he's obviously in survival mode. Like, he just wants to keep his job. Now he's got a recruitment structure in place. Hopefully they can be like, look, this is the style that's going to work. And what's the type of profile you're after? He can be like, I need a player with this, 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 and this. And they can be like, here's 3 players. And just go through it. And then they can execute plan A, plan B, plan C, and go out and do that. That's hopefully what happens. Because if he gets free reign over transfers again, I see a similar thing. He's going to bring in players he knows and trusts. Some of them are not going to work, and then we're going to end up in the same position within 6 months. So I think that definitely needs to change.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And it's... Go on.
Sorry. I was just going to add, unless he goes into the Marvel universe to look for players, there's nobody that can play that formation that he did last season.
Fucking Spider-Man web slinging in the midfield.
Honestly, yeah, you're going to need superheroes to run around. But anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'll come to you in a second, Tim. I just want to read out because there's loads of comments. There's loads of these in the chat. So big up everyone in the chat. Smash a like on the video if you can and hit that subscribe button. My Damned United saying, based on Sir Jim Ratcliffe's cold handshake with Eric at the Cup presentation, I'm convinced that they had a harsh exchange of words long before the final. Big egos at play. Think that has played a part. Jamie Goggin, if Eric Ten Hag has less control, I think that gives Ineos more of a foothold in what they plan to do in the long term, but also Eric Ten Hag has more time to concentrate on tactics, set pieces, and issues with the press. Dino saying it still remains the manager is the manager until he isn't, regardless of the contract extension. Sadly, players will be able to run down their contracts without removal consequences. Ed Barrett saying Phil Jones, Marshall, Luke Shaw. Okay. There's so many comments. I'm just trying to... that's a fair point. Pardon?
Yeah, I think those.
I guess that was about people that shouldn't have got contracts, maybe extensions.
Yeah, maybe. David Pearson saying that's a fair point about the manner of some of last season's defeats, and I think that's alluding to Chive. Some very poor performances. At least next season, Ten Hag has a fairly low bar to aim for to improve on 8th. Richard Hawkins saying MK Dons also beat us in the FA Cup 3rd round under Louis van Gaal.
Remember that
Ed Barrett.
Game. That was a terrible game. That.
Yeah, one of the worst.
Dele Alli, man. That was the birth of Dele Alli.
It was. It was. Ed Barrett saying, by that logic, City should never be beaten ever. Well-drilled teams can beat a bunch of well-paid mercenaries. A strong comment there from Mr. Barrett. It's up to Ineos now. Let's hope they aren't as slow as signing players as we are at the end of the season reviews. Christos Jones says, "Are we still interested for Schalke midfielder Hassan?" I think that's going to be a naughty name, so I'm not going to read that out. You almost got me there. You almost got me there, but I've had me coffee.
Let me have a look.
Just have a look at it. I don't know if it is or not. It might be a genuine player.
I am a real player.
I'm putting it up on screen and let people guess if
Is
I'm
it?
gonna Google it now.
See it.
No, he's real. He's real.
He's real.
Yeah, he's real.
Yeah, because I saw the ASS ass, and I thought, I don't know about that.
He's real. He plays. For
I might
Charlotte.
be baited here. I don't know about that, but it's not fair enough. Fair enough.
He's definitely
an honest man. Yeah, he's an honest man. Yeah, David saying, hit the likes to support this channel. The lads do a great job. There are some Gash United channels out there. This is not one of them. Yeah, love the support. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, Tommy Tickle isn't sticking around to help rebuild the club. Eric needs respect for starting all the processes. Ineos are now taking over like Fergie did. And there's so many more. There's so many more. Sorry, Andy Williams, I swear to God, if we get one injury and it causes him to play players out of position, I will lose my head. Andy is a long-term advocate of, well, for not Ten Hag basically in the job. Yeah, let me just swing that question to you as well, Chive, about the going forward with, the relationship with current players, the style as well. Because like you said, he did switch it up towards the end of the season and he actually looked okay. He looked decent, which begs the question, in it at the time, why the fuck has he not been doing this all season? So do you think you may see more of that heading into next season?
Hopefully. So, like, typically, the Arsenal loss 1-0, it was a loss, but do you remember? It didn't really feel that bad.
Yeah,
when we lost that. Yeah, because we're stripped down to the bare bones. I think it was still Casemiro and Evans defense. I think.
God knows, it's been that much of a hectic season. I can't remember anything.
Yeah. So it was the same team that played Palace, that played Arsenal, but we just had Ahmad in there. I think it was just Ahmad that come in for someone else. But we played well. He adapted. This is the start of this adaptation. So I suppose that's the little like glimmer of hope. I would love to see that happen. And I think some relationships with the players might have been fractured already, especially with like Casemiro and stuff like. I personally, you and I used to go back and forth on this one because I felt that he was hard done by because he was played in a position that left him completely exposed. I don't know anybody that would have played much better. I'm not saying he would, play the best, but I don't think he would have played anyone there that would have, done a much better job than Casemiro. Everybody who played that position would have been exposed because this is very similar to what happened to Declan Rice and to Kobe Mino when Declan Rice ran off in the game against Iceland. Rice runs to press high, and it's just Kobe Mino, and the ball comes in, and they go to score. So it's one of them ones where things like that, and when it happens repeatedly, then you start to lose confidence. Then you start to have problems with the manager and maybe other players, and then the thing about the favoritism with Anthony and with Ahmad on the bench the whole time when he could have played him. So I'm sure some relationships might have been fractured. These are some of the things that he would have to sort of look to repair going forward, because I agree with Sam in terms of the signing another year contract, and I think he needs to have that confidence that the board trust him, and it can kind of like give him like a fresh sort of, I don't know, a fresh way of thinking. Maybe he can see this as a second chance and try and like just remedy some of the mistakes that he made last season. So playing style definitely has to change. We already saw that with the last 4 games of the season, he changed. And even though we didn't play well at Brighton, we still won. We played well at Arsenal, and lost. But there's something there, and I hope he can build on that. Hope he can build on on those performances going forward, because I can't stand another season of what we just. I really wouldn't survive it, honestly.
Well, in order to build on it, Aaron, obviously the recruitment's going to have to be absolutely spot on, and a lot of the reports coming out at the moment suggesting that we've got as little as £50 million starting budget this summer. So it seems like we're in home bargains for our kind of shopping. for players, and also talking about what kind of players do we need, what kind of players should we recruit, what style. Looking at the summer window, how would you what would your kind of picks be? Not in terms of individually, but what type of players, I guess, is what I'm saying, should we go for?
I think we definitely in midfield need some high energy, because if we're going to play remotely any way that we did last season, you need legs on legs in that midfield. So yeah, I would definitely go for like a high energy number 8. I think that's needed. Another striker. The defence, probably 2 new centre backs, a left back. But I feel like, you know, they don't need to be. I know this, that we always say this, but they don't have to be superstar signings. They can be. I feel like you need some players that are going to buy in now. They just need to be on board with his philosophy, and you know, what players that are durable is the main thing. That are reliable. That you know haven't really got an injury record, and you know can play through injury, because you know Wayne Rooney alluded to it, that you know he felt that some players weren't actually injured or were slightly injured and could have played through and didn't. I just feel like, you know, you've got to have players that got fire in the belly, not that are just coming for a paycheck or a swan song kind of like. I feel like I'm being harsh on Casemiro, because I kind of agree with Chivy that, you know, it was 3-on-1, 2-on-1 in most scenarios for him. And don't get me wrong, some of his passing and that, but when you're under pressure and you're not performing well due to that, it will have a knock-on effect on your game. But yeah, I just feel that, you know, we need high-impact players, durable players, because it's always a long season now. Even if you go out to competitions, it's like, you know, just to get to the stage where you're going out to competitions, you've played a lot of games. So yeah, I feel like that's what we need. We can't be buying or like a Varane type. Do you know what? I like Varane, but we can't make Varane type signings where, you know, they've got an injury record, they're going towards the end of the career, and
last big paycheck.
Yeah, that's it. And they're not reliable.
Use the youth academy. Like, we've got players in the youth academy, and like, why are we not making more use of it? Harry Amas is highly rated. You got Shea Lacey's in there. Like, Camboala was getting opportunities. Ahmad was sat on the bench for the entire fucking season. Thingy, Kobe Main, who popped up as superstar. Like, make use of it. Fill those gaps with the youth players. If you can't afford to go out and get a thing, we've got youth players there ready for that purpose. Like,
I agree with that, but off the back of last season, if you throw some young players into that team, I'm worried that they'll drown before they get a chance to shine. I do feel like we need experience. I'm not talking like, you know, 30-year-olds, you know, 27's experienced in the game. You know what I mean? 28 experience. And I just feel like, you know, we need players that are gonna show a bit of fight, a bit of grit. Like for me, Ross Barkley would have been a smart signing, but obviously that's been and gone now. But yeah, I think the recruitment this time needs to be bang on, because we can't have that again, because, you know, we're going to get to a point where we're an aging team, or we're a squad of players where we're not going to, we bring a new manager in and we're not going to achieve better than like mid-table or like an 8th finish.
Yeah, I've not bit purposely twice on the Casemiro thing for the benefit of the show. I'm gonna keep myself to myself, because otherwise I'll be going back and forth on it for ages. But just to finish us off with the summer, Sam, and going into it, we had the Lille president coming out today saying that Yoro and Jonathan David can leave this summer. Basically, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Apparently, Real Madrid are rejecting the chance to sign him, and they're the reports that are floating about at the moment. So, are them type of signings, especially someone like Lenny Yoro, is that the direction you see Ineos going in? More young stars. They still have a resale value, of course, after they leave as well. Just for long term, it just seems like a better kind of strategy, doesn't it?
Yeah, you got to sort of look at players. Like I know the French league seems ripe for like talent. Like there seems to be a lot of talent in the French league, and obviously French league tends to be a one-team league for the most part. I know Lyon and Lille have their moments and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's PSG centric. So I think
Also, Sam, sorry to add on to that as well. French league having a lot of financial issues. They can't even get a sponsor
there
for
you
the
go.
TV at the minute.
There you
So
go.
that's
So-
a throw in the mix as well.
And like they've said, the Jonathan David and Yoro can go due to contracts because they can't afford to keep them, basically. So you can maybe use that to your advantage and get him for less than probably what they would hope to get. Yeah, highly rated Yoro. I really like the way he plays. If Real Madrid are sniffing around him, he's definitely got something about him if they're after him. And if you can get him without it before he goes to Madrid or instead of Madrid, then I think it's a coup. Depends how much he costs. Like if you can get him for a discount price, excellent. Then let's do it.
40, I think they're saying roughly
Okay,
around
that's
that price.
It's not too bad. Like I'm all right with that. But if they was like if you look at like Everton who are wanting like 60, 70 million for Branthwaite, you get fucked. Like not a chance that's happening. 40 million.
Branthwaite, sorry.
Branthwaite, sorry.
Correct,
Apologies, Kellogg's Branthwaite.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's more palatable. If it's like 40 million, you're sort of more happy with that. They're the kind of deals you want to do, like 30, 40 million players you don't necessarily know too much about, but a young, adaptable, injury-free, like Aaron or Chivy said, and like build your team around that. Like you cannot be going out and getting a Mason Mount 60 million in the last year of his deal and he's injury prone. Like I'm sure he's a great player, but it's just that was a disaster of a signing, wasn't it? Just ridiculous. And then you've got Anthony, who we overpaid by, I think 60 million. He was worth 25 and we paid like nearly 90. It's disaster of a signing. Like you cannot keep doing this and expect like a team to come together. Like it's just stupid. So we need to be smarter. We need to box clever. Lenny Yoro is definitely one of those things. Jonathan David, I'm not as hyped about. I don't see the thing, but we spoke, me, you, and Chivy on the show yesterday. Jonathan Xerxes available, release clause 34 million. Very smart signing, I think. Lenny Yoro is 40 million, very smart signing. João Neves is probably in the upper bracket, isn't he? A lot of money. But is he a potential star? That's what you got to weigh up. It's like, do you want to pay all that money and potential and stuff? So, yeah, I think the less João Neves ones, don't get me wrong, I love João Neves. I think he's a fucking phenomenal player. But the less of those buys and more of the Lenny Yoro, Jonathan Xerxes is the ones we need right now. That's where we need to go.
And also for the benefit of the show, there's so many angles can go into the summer, and honestly, I could speak about it forever. But Aaron, you mentioned something about a certain game or something. Am I throwing you under a bus here a little bit?
What do you mean?
Who am I?
Oh, well, we're going straight into that now.
Well, have you got something prepared? Because I've just kind of threw it on you.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah, so we can go into that because I'm looking at the time of the show and thinking I'm not sure how long that's going to. So we can kind of part the discussion on the summer transfer window and we can have a go at that, whatever you've got in mind. And I can actually get involved in one for because usually me doing it. So
I thought you were talking about a certain game of like the season or something that I mentioned. I was thinking, what?
Yeah, I should have been a little bit clearer on that, shouldn't I?
Present Aaron's technical analysis of United against Bournemouth, and Aaron's like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Can't even fucking remember that. We got twatted 3-0.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so I wrote it out in like it's 3 paragraphs. They're not like going to be long-winded, but it's like 3 paragraphs. And instead of you like jumping in or whatever, like as I'm talking, I'll finish the paragraph, and then if you think you know it or whatever, or if not, obviously I'll just carry on with the next one.
Okay.
And then the first paragraph gives nothing away really, and I feel like as each paragraph, like the end one, you would kind of like it's pretty easier.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Right.
So just to the chat, this is guess who am I? So what football player is this that Aaron is describing?
So whilst you're guessing us now, don't look at the comments because obviously someone might get it. And
let me put my notes.
I'll hide
I can't even see the comments.
I've hid the comments.
Jimmy's not got his glasses on.
Yeah.
I can see on the screen.
Right. Who am I? Growing up, I wanted to be great. Who knew I'd turn out to be my country's number 8? Who knew I'd go on to win an ebony shoe? That was the moment I really knew. I didn't want to be the standard, held back or even hampered. I had to give it my best, and that's when I landed in the Northwest.
You know, poetry? I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't realise there was going to be poetry involved. This is ridiculous.
JP Cooper, what's going on?
We don't half-ass it.
Where have you hid this talent? Where What if you hid this
Yeah.
talent the entire time on this channel and you can write
Mate.
poetry? What the fuck, man?
Mate, that's Chat GPT all the way.
Honestly, yeah. Honestly, I've wrote every fucking line of this.
Have you?
I know.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you're
That's
making
crazy.
me look like a right piece of shit now as a host. I'm going to have to
The
step up your game,
Northwest.
mate.
Northwest. I think I know who this is. I think I know.
Right.
What,
So,
already?
Yeah.
mention. Can you read it again? Because I thought, one, it was read out so beautifully, and two, I didn't really pick up on the point. So let me have a proper listen again.
He wasn't listening, is what was happening there.
Yeah.
So you want the whole paragraph again?
Yes, please, go.
Yeah, go on.
Right. So it's growing up, I knew I wanted to be great. Who knew I'd turn out to be my country's number 8? Who knew I'd go on to win an ebony shoe? That was the moment I really knew. I didn't want to be the standard, held back or even hampered. I had to give this my best. That's why I landed in the Northwest.
What's an ebony shoe?
Yeah, that's what stuck me. The ebony shoe is what stuck
I
out.
didn't know what this was. Obviously,
Northwest.
I
thought
looked
you
through
read
the
it.
players. Yeah, I
Can you
looked
spell
through
it?
the
Like
player
ebony.
first.
As in
two words,
EBONY. Okay.
Shoe.
Yeah.
Shoe
If I tell
or
you-
shoot?
Shoe, as in like a boot. Yeah.
Shoe. Okay.
So number 8 for his country, Northwest.
So
It's a player. It's a player that's got like African descent.
yeah, that's what the ebony shoe was like. There's African roots there.
Yeah.
He's an 8, so he's a
landed in the
midfield. So he's a midfielder, of African descent, and he played in the Northwest. That's what we're getting from the first paragraph.
Okay. Can we have the second paragraph,
Yeah.
please?
Yep. I arrived for £15 million and I knew I had to hit the ground. The fans' imagination I started to capture as they marvelled over my stature. I opened my account against the Magpies. The next 5 years, I see how time flies. The stars then decide to align. This is my time to shine. I've never been so delighted. It's my time to go to the legendary Manchester United. My career was only about to get bigger, but a section of the fan base would only snigger. I brushed it off. I was met by a familiar figure.
An African midfielder for United.
African roots
course.
midfielder.
African
a few.
roots.
There's a few of them. Playing in the Northwest. He's an 8. 50 million. There's the clue. 50 million.
15 million.
15.
15
Oh,
million.
15 million. Okay.
15
million.
Yeah.
I think I
Want me to
know
read
it.
again, or?
I think I know it. I think I might know.
I've not
Go
got a
on.
fucking
Go
clue.
for
Can I
You
make
can
a
guess
guess?
now, innit?
Or can I have to
Yeah, yeah.
wait? Quentin Fortune?
Nah,
Bollocks.
And he
The ebony
wasn't
shoe
Fortune
thing-
a centre back.
nah, midfielder.
Midfielder.
The ebony shoe things is what was going to throw you off massively.
Right.
Like when
Okay.
I say it, you're going to be like, what the fuck?
Okay, so should we have the third paragraph?
Yeah, third paragraph.
I feel like you might guess it from this.
Chiva, do you
paragraph.
want to give it a guess? I feel like you got
I
something
have,
there,
I have
maybe.
a name in my head, but there's absolutely no way it's going to be this guy.
Go on, just
Can you
think,
say it?
throw it out.
Just I'll clip it if not.
African roots. Is it Eric Jamba?
Nah, that's what I mean. It's not
Wasn't
as
Jemma Jemma
like,
Brazilian?
obvious as that.
No, it's
Nah, you're
Cameroonian.
thinking of you're thinking of Cleberson.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, go on. All over the place,
Right.
mate.
Things didn't go as planned, and that figure was gone. Then 2 years later, so was the next one. Here arrives the chosen one. I knew I belonged, and I planned to show you. Off the bench, I became his go-to. They said I was all hair and no flair,
Okay.
but I didn't
yeah.
really care
Yeah.
You know who it is.
Yeah.
because I was unmatched in the air.
Yeah.
3 trophies in 2 years. The chosen one was gone, and I held back the tears. Under Ollie, I went through the gears. So that was the end of Old Trafford, and I say goodbye to the beast. The big man is leaving, and I go to the east.
And I know who it is. Nick, do you know? You know who it is?
I don't
Nick?
have a fucking clue who this is.
Go
Can I
to
make
the
a guess?
east.
An African player under Mourinho.
No.
and-
Forget the African bit. Forget the African bit. Like,
I
Go
can't
on,
think. He
Sam.
said he was African. So
It's-
I'm going to forget that when he
it's
said it.
No.
it's Manawan Fellaini, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Fellaini's the least African person I've ever seen
That's-
in my life. What?
That's why I said, yeah, that's going to throw you off because obviously I didn't, when I went
African roots.
African roots. His family's from. Is
Yeah.
it Algeria? Are they from Algeria?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's
And
And when
the
he
thing,
said, yeah, and when he
Right.
said he's all hair,
Yeah, that's what got me. I was like, and
Yeah.
then the chosen one
Said
off the
Rocket.
bench. I was like,
Yeah,
right,
good,
yeah,
yeah.
it's Fellaini.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, I got a 1 out of 10 on that. So
I'm just glad that you didn't guess it straight away, and I wrote all these
damn
this
right.
out for no reason.
Fucking
To
hell.
waste all the paragraphs. Just like guess
Some
it on the first sentence.
suspicious breadcrumbs there. Let me tell you, I was.
Hey, Aaron, that was really well written.
I like that.
Yeah.
Good.
You know what? Yeah, I have to credit Shits and Gigs because I kind of just read like they're kind of I changed it a bit, but they have a similar thing, so I thought I'm gonna try and like, adapt that.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, man, I'll write a next one out, and I'll do it every so often.
Okay. Was that
is
the
it
only
just-
one?
Go on, man.
You've only got
Go
one.
on.
Yeah, that's the only one.
Ah.
Mate, it took me a while to write that.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Someone's put a bag of sweets. What? Yeah, I've had an absolute mare there. It was definitely the African thing that I was looking at, and I was trying my best. I was like, who the fuck is African who's played for United? I was going through it like in my head. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, the
completely
third one gave it all like I got it on the third one is like off the bench, Jose, and I was like the hair. All right,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
I just didn't want it to be so cryptic every paragraph that you're like, what is the point in this?
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was good. I also think it's a good way to end the show. I'll just read out some comments just before we head off. World Cup winner Kleberson. A couple of people saying Jemba, Quinton. So good they said his name twice. Simon Davis in the chat. How are we doing? Mm-hmm.
I think it was referring to JJ Okocha.
No, Jemba. He was saying.
Oh, Jemba. Oh, right.
Yeah. Anthony needs to change job. More chances to be a pro Fortnite player than a player for United. Very random. Thanks for the stream. Education is the word you require. Thank you, Simon. Well, big up to everyone who's been in the chat. We've had quite a few people kind of tuning in, so I really appreciate that. As always, if you want to become a Real Red Ultra member, click the link in the description and become a part of one of the biggest growing communities. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank you to the lads for coming on. I know a couple of you have been stressed from work and stuff, so it's always nice to relax and take the mind elsewhere. And thank you to Aaron for unlocking his poetry jam, which I never ever knew he had. I think that was a beautiful way to. I feel like we should have some music behind him whilst he was reading it out.
If I would have known, he's doing poetry, I would have got like some Def Jam poetry thing in the background going. I didn't know it was going to be that. I was like, what the fuck?
I was like, on 21 Jump Street where Jonah Hill does the poetry slam.
Yeah.
Has anyone watched it? Cynthia.
Get some bongos out and just.
Oh, Cynthia. Classic. Anyway. Thank you very much, lads.
That's really cheered me up. Yeah. Thanks.
Anyone in the comments? Yeah, want next year Valentine's poems card? Yeah.
What is it that celebrities do? Is it cameo?
Yeah.
Cameos, don't they?
Yeah.
Start doing cameos for poetry. You want Aaron? There you go, guys. You want Aaron to read out a Valentine's message or a birthday, or even at your grand's funeral, whatever it is. He'll do it for you. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Nick's killed himself with the poetry.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Goodbye.
Peace.